I don't want to wait any longer. I want to bring the main show, the main event up here. So please, everyone, please welcome David to the stage. Welcome, come on down. All the way. All right. Dave.
Testing. Is this loud enough? Yeah.
This is loud enough. Perfect. So Dave, before we get started, oh, you have it. Oh, perfect. All right. Dave, before we get started, can we just acknowledge and let them all know we do go to the same barber? So let's get that out of the way.
Qualifications.
We acknowledge it. It's here. We're clearly two white dudes who are trying to keep the hair high. We understand. Fair.
If I could, just to let everybody know, Tom and I have known each other for maybe 15 years.
Yeah.
We got to know each other really well for the first time on the Panama Canal. Where are my kids? Oh, right here. You guys are going to Panama very soon. We were kayaking on the Panama Canal, and that's how we first met on the EO trip.
That's right.
And then we've grown a relationship from there. What you might not know is my first book was in 2019, and Tom also hosted and ran it for me. So I asked for one more favor, and so I really appreciate this. Tom is one of the most well-known keynote speakers in the country right now. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. He knows he gets me for free, so that's why this works so well. So with that, I appreciate it. All right, we gotta get started. We got into this book here. So can we just load right into it? Why did you all decide to move to another country when you have such beautiful weather here? That, like, what's the point? Why would you leave this place?
this picture is, hi, let me see you all right.
Hi.
Kelly. So in 2015, I was not trying to figure out how to move to Barcelona. In fact, Kelly and I had 3 kids under 6, and we were just trying to figure out how to put them to bed at night. And we were struggling, as many people with young children do. And I reached out to my friends, and one of my friends, Dave Kirpin, who is in the back tonight, recommended a book for me. It's called 3 Big Questions for a Frantic Family. And one of the questions it asked is, figure out what is unique about your family. And it takes all the things that you learn, mission, core values, priorities that you apply to business, and applied it to your family. I love that shit. Kelly doesn't, but she was so desperate, we all did it. And so what we did, the twins were 6, we sat down at the table, and everyone took turns saying a word of what our family meant or what they wanted our family to be. Layla, do you remember what you said?
I just read this, but I don't know.
She said eating healthy. Josh, he said sense of humor. Kelly said being positive, and we went around a little bit longer, and I said travel. Because those who know me and Kelly, we used to travel a lot before the kids were born, and it was just something deep in that we had in common. And so we finally put together this paragraph that the book told us to do, and I'm going to read it to you. I'm only reading 3 different passages tonight, but they're important ones. This is what we came up with. We are unique in that we want to raise a family that has a sense of humor, a focus on being healthy, has trust in each other, is positive, self-confident, and enjoys experiencing life through travel. And so I did what you're told to do in all these self-help books. I am Think and Grow Rich and The Secret. I started telling everybody that we want to experience life through travel. And I was at an EO board meeting with Keith Schwabel, who is here. Where are you? Right there. You'll see throughout the night, I'll be mentioning different people. And he goes, well, if you want to do that, you need to speak to David Rich. David Rich is right there. He just came back from living in Barcelona for a year with his family, and he said it was transformational. This is 2015. Dave and I spoke for 4 years, and Allison is here as well as his wife. We went out to dinner with them. We went to have Friday night Shabbat dinner with them. We went out to play with them maybe 24 times. Finally, in 2019, the twins were going from elementary school to middle school, and Kelly goes, why don't we, because everybody was leaving, why don't we just apply to the school that David Rich's kids went to, and Allison, and see what happens? And then they got in. And she's like, well, let's apply for a visa. And we started taking all these small steps. And I'm going to say something tonight that my dad doesn't know until this moment. And then my mom and my dad, we went to their apartment and we said to them, we've made a decision, we're moving to Barcelona. We didn't really make the decision yet. But you got to start telling people you're doing it and just to see what happens. We told enough people. I remember telling Jessica, and we hadn't even made the decision. She's like, why are you doing that? You just bought a house. And so eventually we said it, had enough conversations, then we went there and I got an apartment. And then 4 years later, we are in the Delta terminal with 11 suitcases packed to go to Barcelona. That was the story of why we went.
So that's why you went. And so you have 11 suitcases here. Is that did it all fit? Did everything work, or did you have to? What happened?
The real secret is there was actually 15 suitcases. 4 of them were carry-ons that we checked in because we had 3 free for Delta, but it worked. And what I did realize though, there was a lot of crap we didn't bring, and we put that in the basement. And then we never took it out. So we have a lot of stuff in our basement still.
Yeah, I was wondering, of everything you brought, just really quickly, and Kelly, maybe for you, what's the thing you brought that you thought you were definitely going to need, but ended up not needing?
For me,
We brought so many books.
Books.
Like books and books.
he brought the Torah.
Case of books.
You brought the wall, just in case.
I brought 3 suits.
3
That I never wore, and then they got lost. So
That's good. All right, so you're there. You're now there. You're in Barcelona. David Rich made it happen. Your kids get enrolled in a school. Are you just going all in? Are you nervous? Where are you at this stage?
So August rolls around, and I'm going to be honest, I'm feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome. This is BFIS. This is not an August. This was actually Halloween, but it was the only picture I could have of the courtyard there. And I was feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome because you're meeting all for new parents. And you start meeting these parents who are like, oh yeah, we're from London, we just came from Hong Kong, or we're from Morocco, and we were just traveling around. They're like, where are you from? Where have you traveled? I'm like, I'm from Brooklyn. I came from Brooklyn. This is a true story. And I was like, Kelly, maybe we're not in the right place. And then I'll figure out the arrows here. And then this guy, he's the dean of the school, and he gets up and gives a speech that changed the course of the year. And it's such an important speech, I'm actually going to read it. I might need Jordan's glasses, which he gave me, but we'll check. Oh no, I think I can do it. Welcome to the hardest job you're going to have this year. I'm talking about the job of being new, of walking into a room where everyone seems to know each other already, of feeling like you're 15 again, to figure out where to sit in the cafeteria. It's weird, it's lonely, it's disorienting, and if anyone tells you it isn't, they're lying. But here's what I learned after 15 years of international teaching, education. After watching thousands of families navigate this exact moment, you're going to be invited to things. Gatherings, dinners, play dates, coffee dates, weekend trips, random Tuesday lunches. Some will sound appealing, some will sound exhausting, many will happen at times that seem inconvenient. Your job, your only job, is to say yes. Just say yes to the dinner party where you won't know anyone, to the hiking group that seems too intense, to the book club that reads in Spanish, to the weekend trip to a place you can't pronounce. Say yes when you're tired. Say yes when you're overwhelmed. Say yes when every fiber in your being wants to stay home and order takeout. I know we can all relate to that. Because that's how you're going to make this year matter. Not by playing it safe, not by waiting until you feel ready, but by saying yes to the mess and the magic of it all.
Ah, that's good.
I literally got chills when he said that. It spoke to me. And the next day, we had the opportunity to test it out. It was a new parent museum tour. Last thing I would want to do in my Brooklyn life, but I'm like, we got to say yes, so we went. It was a great tour. We went out to lunch with another couple who became one of our best friends on the trip. And then I had another opportunity. Andy Rapkin, who is in the back, in the book, his name is The Guru. I don't even say his name in the book, it's called The Guru. because he was my mentor throughout the trip. One of the first things, and Dave Rich actually introduced me to him, the first things he did for me was invite me to join his forum in Barcelona of expats and local entrepreneurs. And I said yes right away to that. And of course, we ended up traveling to Turkey and Bordeaux and Mallorca and so many other places that, I know it's not terrible, but that were exhausting and tough. But I'm going to send more examples. So that became the motto of the rest of the year.
I just want to say for the guru, I know you through the book. Now I have a face. You are forever now the guru, just for clarification. And also, just before you show the next slide, he puts a segment in the book talking about how when he was back here in Brooklyn, the number of times he said no. He said no to dinner parties. He said no to book launches. He said no to hanging out with a friend because, there's tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promised to any of us. And so the fact that he had to go all the way to Barcelona to start saying yes doesn't mean we can't make it happen right here starting tomorrow. Don't let these opportunities pass us up.
Told you he's good. Now, but what I'll tell you is it's not even just saying yes. Here, when you say yes, you're like, in 3 months on a Saturday, we can do dinner. There, it was like tonight. Dave Rich can attest to that because everybody there was there to meet new people. And this isn't part of the presentation, but I do want to share this. When you're in your 40s, you think you have all the friends you're going to have for the rest of your life. Within the first 3 months, we had 30 new couple of friends from the school and from other things. And many of them we're still in touch with today. And it just goes to show you it's never too late to grow your community of friends at any stage. And we should always look to do that.
So what would you say yes to?
I just went through the list.
Is there another?
Oh, no, that's the next. That's one more slide. Hold on. I gotta get this eventually. Boy, it's not working. Okay. So before that is this.
Yes.
So we practice a little bit. So the other question I get on my media tour, thanks Lauren, wherever you are, is why did you write the book? And there's one that I'm going to tell you guys, and then one I'm going to say that I say to everybody. And there's 3 people in this room that I wrote the book for. No, the 3 people in the room are Layla, Jonah, and Josh. And the reason I wrote the book for them is they didn't have a choice whether or not we went to Barcelona, but they chose how they showed up there. And you guys were unbelievable. Like, even though Josh has been reading the book recently and he goes, I didn't do that, and you're putting me in a bad light. I'm like, you were 10 and it was in the middle of COVID. You look great. And at the end, you look amazing. And so it's for them today, but it's for them, God willing, and their children and their grandchildren so they can memorialize it forever. But I actually decided to write the book 3 months into my trip. And it came from a conversation with Joe Jacoby, who was a 1992 Olympic kayaker. And he actually went there and stayed. Those of you who knew me then, and many of you did, is when I moved to Barcelona, I started blogging and writing about it every single day, because mainly for family and friends, so they even know what we were doing. But very quickly, people I didn't know in Barcelona or I just met started reading the blog, and he was one of them. And he said to me, we sat down and he goes, let me tell you why this is such an important thing. And I'm going to read to you, this is the last thing I'm reading from the book. I'm going to read to you what he said because this was so impactful. I still need the mic. Mike's offered, this is like my nightmare to read if I'm a Purdue people. We went to high school together. We went to kindergarten to high school. Okay. When you're young, life is like paddling a kayak down a wide river. You can pivot, steer, change directions easily. But over time, the kayak becomes a canoe, then a sailboat, then a giant ship in a narrow canal. You can't turn easily anymore. Most people feel stuck on that course, but not you. You turned your ship, and that's rare. And then he said, keep writing about it. People need to see it's possible, that you can change directions even when you think it's impossible. And to those of you who know me, when I get energized by something, and I was getting energized every moment of the trip, it was 2 months later in our forum meeting, about 100 days in, I said to the team of the forum, I'm writing a book about this experience. I thought it was going to be that year, 5 years later, but at least we got it done. And that's why I'm here today talking to you guys, to make sure everybody knows in midlife, it's not too late to turn your ship and to make a change and to do something that you think is not possible. And it's a really important thing that we've got to keep telling ourselves.
Yeah, so that idea, though, of you turn your ship. I know there are things in my life that are incomplete right now, and I'm holding back on them. And when you told me this story, for me, it was a motivation to just go. Don't wait, make it happen right now. And you did. In Barcelona, you said yes to everything. And what are some of the things you said yes to?
So I took yes to the extreme. So this is in October. So we got them. And at the end of August is when he gave us the speech. So first thing I do is I went to Montserrat on a retreat, and then I went.
Here, switch.
No, it's good. Then I went to a learning conference because why not? Then I went to Venice for an entrepreneur conference. Then I spoke twice at the kids' school doing my TEDx talk because why not? And then I learned how to make paella with my forum, and that's the guru in the center. And this is not to mention all the people who are visiting Barcelona, and we're having lunch dates and texts and things like that. And I was starting to feel like we were on the roll. This is going to be the rest of the month.
Yes. It's going nonstop. It's endless. And then
everything stopped. There was a reality check in October. There was a separatist movement where Catalonia wants to separate, or at least many people do want to separate from Barcelona. And some leaders of this movement they were sentenced to jail 9 to 13 years. It was a shock to everybody. That day and the next day, the entire city shut down. They all overwhelmed the airport. Nobody could fly in. And then this is about a block from my house on Avenue Diagonal. There about 500,000 people came and protested. And just the sentences. And the reality check for me was like, Barcelona is not here just for me to say yes and do a productivity experiment. It has its own challenges and its own drama. And it's just like, oh, okay. And then I just like kind of slowed down a little bit and wasn't trying to say yes to everything. I was trying to like pay attention to what was happening around me. So I just wanted to share this moment that we were there.
By show of hands, how many of you been to Barcelona? Just check.
Wow. Oh,
Awesome. Wow, that's a huge number. All right. And there's a moment in the book, though, you're saying goodbye to your dad and your mom when you're at the airport, and you had a tear in your eye, and you said you turned away. But they did eventually show up in Barcelona and hang out with you.
That was at my house. They definitely did take us to the airport. My dad has taken me over. What? That's another story.
But they show up, and then we'll have them there.
November, my parents came to visit, and that's my mom. Most people know she passed away in May of 2024, and it was actually kind of a miracle that she was able to come because she had cancer twice, and she was had a bone marrow transplant, and she was finally given the green light to travel. And I think it's the only international trip she has taken in that whole time period to go to Barcelona. And it was obviously COVID was coming around the corner. And we went to Valencia. This was in Park Güell. This was on the top of Montserrat. And this was on my first book launch. And she's always been my biggest champion. And I started this book for 5 years. 3 years ago, I stopped for good. Every time I would write it or give it to Kelli, and she would say, it's good, but it's kind of like a travelogue. Not in that tone. If you're not going to talk, they're going to talk great. And it's really difficult, and it was really tough for me. I had to cut 70% of what we did the first year to make it digestible. But when my mom passed away, there was something that I knew she was such a big part of helping me finish the first book. It made me feel closer to her, to suffer through writing it, and I dedicated the book to her in the beginning. So that's why I ended up finishing.
Yeah,
and it was that 5 year today just to share that story with you guys.
And it's amazing to have them be there with you during that experience, and also just a reminder to all of us that travel. Like it's always that thing that's there, And we say, oh, we'll do it next year, next year, next year. But you make it happen now. Make it happen now. And I know some of you are thinking about trips that you want to go on. And you did, and life started to settle in a little bit. Someone's throwing phones up here. It's okay. So you started traveling, you started settling into life, and then there was a twist of fate that happened.
So December was my phone's ringing, I'm sorry. December was a busy month for us. We traveled a lot. The first trip we had planned was going to Paris. But anybody who knows who's been to Paris or to Europe, they do strikes all the time. And the night before we were supposed to go, they shut down the airport. It was a full strike. I was going to New York the next week, and I remember telling Kelli, I'm like, that's a sign, let's just stay local, we'll be fine. And she said this to me, she goes, we made a promise to ourselves to travel, and we're not gonna just stay here because it's comfortable or easier, we're gonna keep that promise. True story? So we booked a flight to Lisbon and decided to go there, and then we got to go sailing and do these cool stores. But here is the coolest part about the whole thing. We get to the airport, and this was the flight that we were originally taking. It said canceled. The flight that we booked to Lisbon was literally right above it, next to it. That, to me, was a sign that we made the right move. I just thought it was super cool, so I wanted to memorialize that, to show you, if you make a promise, you make a commitment, you put down in writing, you tell people, you keep going through it.
While you were there, did you meet new people, or were there other people from was it always new people that you constantly met, or were there people from your life that...
In Lisbon or in Barcelona?
Throughout the whole trip, was there experiences?
Oh, I mean, we met 30 new couples and families that we'd never met before.
What about people from your past? Were there people from your past that showed up?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We had, unfortunately, because of COVID, my sister was supposed to come, and a lot of other friends, but they couldn't. We had a couple friends who happened to be just traveling through that we were able to give tours around. What? Oh, maybe you were setting me up for that. Shit.
What's the point? If you don't, you set everything up, it's like you're all teed up, and then...
We did have one of our best friends.
Hey, Dave, did you have a best friend that you met 20 years later that you wanted to meet? It says the click. Okay, go.
So they didn't come to Barcelona. We met them in Seville. And this is a really cool story, and it's a good sort of another lesson for everybody here. Kelli and Ari's wife Lauren, in that picture in the top left, they both stayed with the same senorita, Fina, 1 year apart in Seville when they were abroad in college. So when we met them in Seville, to you Americans here, they said, oh, sorry, my back's been to you a little bit. They said that let's go find her apartment and see if she's still there, if she's still alive. We go to the apartment, we buzz the doorbell, and Kelli says, Fina Saki? Good, right? And they said, see, and they just busted us up. And we had 9 people in tow, all the kids, everybody. So we get up there, and Fina sees us, and we explain who we are. She's like, oh, yeah. And she was excited, but not really. Like you haven't seen someone in 20 years. This is weird. Then Lauren sees on her dresser this photo. That's Lauren when she was abroad, and that's Fina. And goes, Fina, this is me. And all of a sudden you see the light go on. And Fina goes, oh my God. And she hugs them, and we do everything. You wouldn't tell them that photo, but she really enjoyed having us there. And so what I wanted to share here is we all, I know, no yawning. No. We all think about, she's a good friend of mine, it's okay. We all are thinking about the impact we want to have on those around us. And I know I'm one, I want to have a bigger impact, I want to do more. And you don't realize the seeds that you're planting that you don't know that you've planted. And sometimes, and probably for some of us, 20 years later, 9 random people are going to show up at your doorstep and say, thank you. Thank you for making such an amazing experience. And so that, to me, was why I wanted to share that today.
And you met
I'll try to get the next... What?
So, Dave, you met a lot of people throughout this trip. It seems like people are people everywhere you go in the world. Is that true?
So the final trip in December, we went to Morocco. And one of the best experiences in Morocco. We drove 8 hours from Marrakesh over the Atlas Mountains into the Sahara Desert. And this is the Jonah and Layla, I think is girl from Abu Dhabi, but I know. Malaysia. I don't know, remember the other one. And right away, we all just started connecting and meeting all these people who would travel from all over the world to go to this state. We were staying in tents in the desert. And then we were out on the tents one night, and this guy, Olu, who lives in Florida, but he's from Nigeria, he started telling this. He's like, one thing I've learned, because we were talking about all the places we've been and what it's like to meet new people. It's like, the one thing I've learned, everywhere you go, everybody just wants to be happy and live their lives. Because people are people. And it's just an important thing to remember, because you look on social media, you look around, you think everyone's going to be different from you somehow. But anywhere you go, everyone's exactly the same. And I needed to go all the way through the middle of the Sahara Desert to get such a simple but important lesson that I say all the time now. I just wanted to reinforce that here tonight.
I'll also say, because I've been to Morocco and Marrakesh, some of the nicest, welcoming.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And that's the other part, though, is just don't trust what the news says. Go and travel and experience it, because people are people at the end of the day.
Totally. And just on that point, even today, every time I travel, I'm nervous, I'm stressed. For whatever reason, we don't those who know us, we don't just go to a beach. We do things that are really exhausting and fun, but different. And it never stops. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So even this trip, I was like, I don't know, let's do it. And
so you're almost a year. You're almost a year into this now. We're now January.
This is December right now. Okay, it's January.
We're January 2020. You all know what's coming. January 2020 is where we're at. How's life going?
So January, we come back from this trip, and the main thing I just wanted to reinforce, it was no longer like this vacation feel where you're like, everything we did was special and different. It was the first time we were like, what should we do this weekend? And I think we've all go through, we go on online. I used to go on Time Out Kids, when we were younger. And so this is we found this maze that the kids can go through, and we started eating churros, went to the boat in Barcelona, and we were no longer tourists, but we were locals. So it was just this weird in between stage, but we liked it because we were starting to feel like this is where we lived.
It's also a reminder here in New York City, the number of, so there's a lot of YPOers in here, EOers in here, the number of forums that come to New York City to have their retreat, because this is an amazing destination, is absurd. But we live here and we take it for granted. And he lived there and finally realized there's all these amazing additional opportunities beyond just the regular things that happen. 2020, January, everything's going great.
So we start building our community, right? We were there and we started doing a lot more things, getting to know a lot more people. Layla, I was so proud of her, joined this dance institute. It was all in Spanish. And this was her performance. 1,000 parents, and they were all on stage doing all these performances together. Then we went to Zermatt with our friends and followed them around there. And this was the most amazing thing. It's called, say it?
Tunes.
I didn't want to say it because I would have said it wrong and Josh would have been in trouble. Explain what it is, Josh.
Onion.
So it's this tradition where these onions, you peel them, and you dip them in this romesco sauce and you eat them, and they're just so delicious. And you can't see it, but we're in a room of about 100 people. And we're all in the hills in hills of Mount Tibidabo. And Kelli at one point goes to me, we didn't know some of the people, we knew some of them. She's like, only in Barcelona can you end up in a meal like this with people you've never met and everybody's having the best time. How are we doing it fun, by the way?
You're great, you're great. And Layla, you said you're performing the dance later, is that perfect? Okay, January, February, and now, dun, dun, dun. I recently read a biography book, and it had the COVID chapter, and I genuinely think everyone's going to have their COVID chapter. My question for you, in your mind, just think about what would be the title of your COVID chapter? Because he had his COVID chapter in...
So, as we all know, we all had our own stories, and so these were the headlines that we started to read. And my son laughing at me. This is how it should be. It's okay. So March comes around and everything shuts down. And I'm gonna share with you, this is, I just went to the next slide. This is one of the things that happened in Europe that I think happened here. We were told on a WhatsApp group, because we were part of like 30 of them, that some Americans, and the guru and me were part of this, are gonna go on their balcony or their terraces and clap. This is the first night. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, why are Americans doing that? Okay, so we heard some noise outside, and I will say this, before I get to this, a lot of the guru and our friends, they decided to leave Barcelona and go up to the hills because there was a lockdown. We ended up in the strictest lockdown in Europe. 52 days in a row, the kids were not legally allowed to leave their apartment. We can only leave to get some food or for medicine, so they were literally stuck in their room. So this was really their only time to have a sense of community or to see anybody else. And so this is the first time we're clapping, and it should work on the speaker. And if you listen, you'll hear me say to Kelli, are these just Americans? And then there's only about 30 seconds, 10 seconds into it, it cuts to the first time the time changed, and it's light out, and we can finally see everybody. And me and Andy would text each other. His kids would be hitting pots and pans. My kids would be doing their own thing, like pots and pans as well. Some people started singing opera and music. Then there was this song that everybody would sing every night called Toast Again. But this was the first night of clapping when we discovered what was going on. About 3 weeks later, first time we could see anybody.
Wow. I remember hearing about that here in the United States and hearing them clap like that. It happened here in New York City. Just rewatching it, I got chills in that moment because it just reminds me like humans are biologically wired to be connected to each other. And while we live in this hyper advanced world, our brains are just 2 steps out of the jungle. Like we need community. And it's amazing that even in this lockdown, the strictest lockdown, they figured out a way to have community and make it happen.
April was tough. We had vacation for the school. There was no classes, and we had to figure out what to do. I started doing yoga for the first time, and I did 100 days of yoga straight, and we were on the terrace. I even got a tent to sleep on the terrace with the boys. Not a good idea. It's not comfortable.
Is that you?
That's me in the center with a beard. And Josh thinks I was lazy by not getting masks. You could not buy a mask in Spain. So that was the mask I made at home.
And you're deciding now, I mean, the lockdown slowly lifts. Are you deciding what to do at this point?
The lockdown lifts, and we weren't sure what the rules were, but we both looked at each other and we said, let's get the fuck out of here. So we found a house on VRBO that was about 30 minutes away, and we just left in the car, wasn't sure if we were allowed to or not. And it just transformed, like it was like letting down our shoulders. And you had a pool, had a view of the ocean, we had some wine, we went to the beach. And it was the first time we started saying to ourselves, maybe we're not done in Barcelona. It was, by the way, when we went there, it was supposed to be a 1-year trip. And now we're in May, and we're supposed to leave that summer. And we just had found out, school is most likely going to be in Zoom in Brooklyn the whole next year. So we started thinking, I don't know, maybe we want to stay. We hadn't decided yet, though.
And?
So June, we go to Catalonia with the guru, and it's his special place. So thank you for telling us about it. And
He said he's sending invites to all of us, so thank you. Appreciate it, Dave, Rich, and the guru.
I might be condensing some timelines and adding things here, but in June we were there. And this was we rented a house, and this is the view from our house. And while we were there, Kelli and I started reflecting. We started reflecting on the trip that we had and all the places that we traveled to. And we were talking about that Zoom was going to be, school was going to be in person in Zoom. And then we get an email. And David Schnurman, who just walked in, my kids go to one of his camps, Camp Echo, and we got an email from Camp Echo saying that they would no longer be camped that summer because of COVID. And that was our plan was, okay, we'll stay, but we'll still go back for the summer, and then we'll come back here. When we got that email, it made our decision final, and we decided to stay one more year, that we weren't done. And we sat at this table, took that computer, and started mapping out our summer. We call it Schnurman Summer Now. We mapped out completely all the way north into France and around to Bilbao, and that's how we decided to stay.
And how long did you end up staying for?
For another year, and this was the last week in the second year before we left. Kelli had a professional photographer that Josh was really excited for us to take photos. I think he finally smiled, but so this was in Turo Park. As Dave and Andy know, that's literally a block from where I live, and that was in Turo Park itself. That is where we spent all of our time, is where a lot of expats were.
Yeah, by the way, I just want to say, you mentioned conversations you and Kelli had. When you read the book, there are several moments, just precious relationship moments, where you two had a moment. Whether it was sitting on the balcony, drinking the wine, and realizing this is the right decision, or the one you just shared there. So just from a relationship perspective, I'll say that.
Robert Easy, good to see you, my friend. And then we're fast forward to today, and I'm going to share with you how we've transformed, because that's the subtitle of the book. But we take trips that are hard. We take trips that go, do you know where, you're trying to guess where it is?
I was doing Saturday.
Which one?
Upper right.
Oh, is that in Kyoto? In Kyoto, yeah. So we take trips that are hard because that is how you experience and how you grow. I'm going to go through that a little bit. And
yeah, so tell us, you 5 years later, what happened? What are the lessons that you have
what did we learn? So I'm going to take you what we learned, because when I learn something, I want to figure out how to distill it and share it with other people, because that's who I am. And so the first thing when I reflect on the trip, and this isn't even in the book, it's not a self-help book, it's a memoir. But we learned the power of being intentional. And I'm going to go through the 3 areas that were intentional. And this is what my recommendation would be for you guys if you want to be a little bit more intentional in your family and with yourself. When we sat around the table and said what was unique about our family, we wrote it down. I don't know about you, but when I write something down, usually it's more likely to happen. And then we told everybody we knew about it. Then, from the dean's speech, we started saying yes to everything that we could experience, even in the mess of it all. And then finally, and I don't expect everyone to do what I did, but I wrote about it and I shared it. And writing about it actually became part of our experience. There's times when something bad would happen and Josh would go to me, I was driving you guys to school and we got really lost. He goes, at least you'll have a story for your blog. And I want to give Allison a shout out, because Allison wrote a blog before we moved to Barcelona, and I read through it. And I remember you still trying to find the keys to your apartment and the wrong mattress size. And that's what inspired me to write a blog, because your blog helped me make the decision to go there. So write something down. You don't have to publicly share it, or share it with a small group. These things will help you get to the next step. How did it help us? It will help you push through fear. That is on the train to Zermatt. I love that photo. And so these 2 words, maybe later and what about? Every single time we travel, I'm like, maybe this is not the right time, or what about this issue, what about that issue? And ultimately, those are just fear trying to prevent you from doing something that you can experience. And going back to what Kelli said to me about Portugal, being comfort isn't the same thing as happiness. It's easier to stay and be comfortable, but I personally wouldn't be as happy in the experience. Saying yes to uncertainty and then being flexible, not only in that Portugal example, but something called COVID transformed us. We're getting to it, guys. I think there's one more slide.
Yep.
So, what did that lead to? And this is the takeaway. This is the transformation. And by the way, cliches are cliches because they're true. So just keep that in mind as you're about to see these next 3 things. Does anybody know what the 80% rule is as it applies to your family? If you do, shout it out. Not you. No offense. Go ahead, Scott. I see you shaking your head. No. Anybody know what it is? Jessica.
80% of the time you like each other.
No. She said 80% of the time you like each other. Okay.
So
That's good.
you spend 80% of the time with your kids before they're 18?
Yes. That's probably, so 80% of the time like your kids are before they're 18. That's 20% of the rest of your life. And so the amount of time that we spent together, we lived abroad, was so much richer. And I'm going to say that in the next 5 years, but it's so different. So that was number one. We got to spend great time together. This is the other cliche you hear. It's not whether you can afford to travel, it's whether you can afford not to travel. The vision that we wrote down in 2015, 10 years later, looking back, came true. That to me is an example of being intentional in your life, and travel being the one thing for us. And you don't have to travel to Barcelona. You can literally go to the Finger Lakes, right, Rich? That's where he lives. And then finally, the kids who ask, where are we going next, will be the adults who will say, why should we limit ourselves? And that's who you guys are, and I see it already. So don't forget, and this is sort of, you have to think about one line tonight when you go home and you're like, what's that Venmo, whatever, is it's never too late to turn your ship. Get out of your comfort zone if you want to go back to my 2019 book. So I don't know if we have time, but I did want to open it up.
Yes, okay. First I'm going to stop by. Krieglstein. Celebrate our work. So we have a moment, but Dave, you don't know I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask your family, your three kids and your wife to come up here.
Oh my God.
And we're going to open up the Q&A because now it's time to roast Dave. And so if the kids want to come up here, that'd be great. And also Kelli can come up here. And what questions do you have that haven't been answered yet that you'd like to ask any of them? Right there. Yeah, I was going to hand you the mic, but I don't think I can get to
I
it.
don't think I need mic.
Okay, perfect.
So, actually, this for Dave.
Yep.
The one thing that just keeps going through my mind is you have this great business that you ran and you had at the time. How
Yeah.
did you continue running that business? What did you do about that?
It's a good question. I laugh because nobody knows what I do at the company. No, it's good. So when I left, it was actually the first person to move to be out of the office was Rich. He moved to Ithaca, and everybody else was in New York City. I was the second, and then COVID hit. So at first it was a little bit challenging because I would be in the conference, everybody be in the conference room, and I'd be working. But the best part was I didn't start work until 3 o'clock because I was 9 a.m. in New York. So I had 2 days, except when I had 11 o'clock meetings. When COVID hit, we were all remote, so it became a little bit easier. So it wasn't, I did get nervous about that, but we grew while I was away. So yes, and my sister.
Still holding the ship.
I got in trouble the last book launch because I don't think I mentioned her name. Michelle is really amazing.
That's right.
Michelle.
All right, before we get to the next question for the three kids, two-part. Are you still connected with any of the students or friends you met while you're there? And then second part, what was it like walking into a school that you knew no one and it was brand new for you in a foreign country?
It doesn't like me. Well, we are connected to one family. Like, we have this tradition where once in a while we'll surprise each other. So, where did they just surprise us actually?
Japan.
Oh yeah, they just surprised us, or we surprised them in Japan. And she was like my best friend there, and she has like this brother. I'll only call and FaceTime now once in a while, but.
Nice. Yeah, and then second, just in terms of what was it like going to a school in a foreign country?
I would say it wasn't like
as scary as you would think because it was an international school, so classes were in English, of course, not Spanish, but most of the classes were in English. And we had to make a transition anyways because we were moving from elementary to middle school, so that was going to happen. And I thought it was pretty cool that that could happen in Barcelona.
I answered some. I was just gonna say, like, because we were going to middle school anyways, like, it did feel like any different. And the community was so small, so it was really nice.
Well, I'm not close with my friends like now, but in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I was very close to them, but like, I called them like every day, but now I don't really talk.
More questions. Who has some questions for anyone up here from Kelli all the way over? We'll go right up front here, yeah.
How do you think?
There you go, good.
How do you think, like, if you hadn't, if you hadn't like gone to Barcelona, do you think you guys would come out as different people? Like, how do you think it's changed you?
I like that.
That's a lovely question, Eli.
Thank you.
Yes, I think we would be different. We would be less global thinkers. No, because you experience like a whole other side of the world, living in a different country, different cultures, and I think living in Barcelona also afforded us the opportunity to visit, different cultures, Morocco, a bunch of other countries, Portugal, France, and we learned about different, traditions, and I think I brought that information with me when I came back to Berlin.
I have no idea.
Two more questions. We'll go right here, yeah.
Your dad definitely struggled to write his book, and he finally finished it. I'm interested, you guys are now quite a bit older than when you actually experienced this, and it's unusual for teenagers to read about their own history and your own family's history. So I'm interested in this experience of reading the book and witnessing your dad go through this. What have you guys learned about your family, your parents, and also about yourselves?
You go first.
So I would say that there have been experiences in the book where my eyes, my perspective from what happened differ from my dad's. Who's to say what is true? But I think it's interesting to look at, especially the familial connection, especially in the COVID chapters, how our relationships were. I think I viewed that experience very differently from my parents, being the child, so I think that was interesting to read.
So I did just start reading the book, but I would say like the same thing as Josh, and I think that I kind of forgot the question.
You're good.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, there we go. All right, yep, one.
Wait, what was the question?
What did you learn?
Well, I listened to the book on like a car ride.
What is this?
I heard most of it, but I fell asleep.
No, that's not true. He didn't remember half of this stuff because he was 5 years old. All right, last question.
Moving on.
Leave it to my kid.
Yeah, hold that for a moment. Another question.
Last one.
Yeah, all the way back there. Yep.
I think the whole story of Barcelona is a story that I wonder,
All of them. When you came back, what was the greatest challenge you faced reacclimating?
something else.
Kelli, Ray, kick it off with you, putting you on the spot. Because I know you had a full-time career here, and you paused that to go on this vacation. And so you come back, and now, how are you different?
I did not go back to that career.
Okay.
I think in Barcelona, I realized how much I value being with kids all the time. And I think that's probably when I realized that I wanted to not go back to work just yet. And to really be at home with them for the few years that I have left to gain that 80%. So I don't know if that was a challenge coming back, but more of a realization. I think a challenge coming back, I think Josh was really pushing the ship about coming back. And I remember when we got back, you're like, wait, why did I say that I wanted to come back? No, but then, it was hard the first month, but this is home, and it's always been home, and our family's here, and all of our friends are here. So, New York was always going to be where we returned to.
Yeah, that's good.
I want to thank everybody for coming. We're running really late on time. Sorry, Brad. But I wanted to say I have free books for everybody in the back. And I have free books for everybody in the back. And I will sign it for anybody who wants. I also want to say I'm so proud of my kids, and Layla and Josh are the leaders of Blood Cancer United. And they're look, you got to ask. They're currently fundraising, and there are QR codes over there. You give $5, give $10, give anything you want, but it helps. This is for blood cancers. That's what my mom had, and that's why they wanted to be leaders of this group. So there are QR codes around, and thank you everybody for coming. This really means the world to me.
One more time for Dave for being here, and the whole family for having the experience. Now we're going to put the music on. We're going to open the bar back up.
If you have to leave, just take a above and make sure to go.
And go enjoy.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.